And I quite often say I get paid for doing this, the work that I love, which is great. I'm also a CYM graduate, so it's been great learning and then coming back again afterwards. So I've got to the NAOMIE planning tool. So you're all thinking, who's Naomi? And oh my gosh, planning, I have paperwork everywhere. The thought of, oh no, more planning. So I thought actually we'd probably start off by looking at the importance of planning. I just want you to have a quick look at this video clip.
Find it pretty and somewhat hypnotic.
That too, sir. Right. Rico. Manual.
Problemo solved.
Sir, we may be out of fuel.
What makes you think that?
We've lost engine 1. And engine 2 is no longer on fire.
Buckle up, boys. Don't look dull. This might get hairy. Attention! This is your captain speaking. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is we'll be landing immediately. Bad news is we're crash landing. Getting upstairs and
The importance of planning. The thing that really resonated with me there is what they did with their manual. The manual. And I was thinking, well, that actually can have two effects. Thinking about the manual as the Bible. If we don't follow our planning tool that God has given us, we could go for a crash landing. And also, if we let the young people just have a free-for-all, I think we've all possibly been there and had bum fights and all sorts of things go off without appropriate planning. So, NAOMIE, it stands for needs, aim, objectives, method, implementation and evaluation. So I'm just going to go through each one and explain what they are and then put it into a youth work context. So the first one, needs. What is the need of a young person or young people or group on the activity? Some of these quotes are taken from out of the book. So if we're planning something, what are those needs? That's the first thing we need to think about. The second one is the aim. What is the aim or overall purpose? What do we want to do and why do we want to do it? The O, the objective. What are the specifics that you want to achieve? What will people be able to do and by when, and how you will know it is actually been successful. And I probably need to say they need to be realistic targets and objectives. I'm thinking about my teaching and it being a SMART objective. The M is the method. What is the best method to use? What are the resources that we need to meet the objectives? What activities will you use? And what resources do you need? And then we move on to the implementation. Actually putting our plan into action. What you did and actually coming back together and finding out what actually happened. And then we move on to the evaluation and critically analysing what actually happened at the event that we planned for. And thinking about, right, okay, we've learnt this from this. How was that a positive thing? Was that a negative thing? What can we learn from that and what can we take forward into the next step? So, my papers are all stuck together. And moving forward into the next step, the evaluation is a bit like a big wheel and it's a bit like a circle. So it goes around and around. So you've got that next step and then you're moving into the next planning part of the planning process. So what does that mean in practice? I thought I'd give you an example of what I've used recently with a couple of other people. So we had a listen and hear event with the bishop in Nottingham Diocese. And from that, our hub of churches decided that we were thinking, oh, hang on a minute, what are our needs when we've looked at that and listened to the young people? And our needs within our hub of churches, our collection of churches in the local area, the need was we didn't have enough young people in some of our churches. We didn't have enough volunteers, and then in other churches they had lots. And some of these people in the churches go to the schools that are local, so they were meeting up with each other but worshipping in separate events. So at one of our meetings with the vicars, that we all got together and thought, how can we take this further? And the aims that we came up with was to do a smaller listen and hear event, to listen to the voices of our young people and what they want within this area. And then our objective was, right, we'll get together in 2 months' time and put on an event to spend time together with the young people. We'll get a few young people from each church and bring them together. And the success criteria that we were looking for was through the evaluation at the end of the session, and also by recording and listening to their needs during this session. The method, we use things like a parachute game and sitting under it and then discussing things, and David will be familiar with this. Tops and pants, we did. So what's tops in youth work and in young people's lives, and then what's pants as well. So we looked at all kinds of things and used different resources, and obviously food was on the agenda because this is youth work. We didn't have pizza this time, we went for sandwiches, we were a bit more sophisticated. And the implementation, what actually happened during that event? It was great, all the young people, some of them didn't know each other, and they all came along, and it was great to see them all getting to know each other through doing creative activities. And then we met as youth workers and our youth diocese officer to do the evaluation, to analyse the data that we collected through different kinds of things. One of the evaluations at the end was having different jars with different questions of, would you want a youth cafe, would you want to worship together, and they had 6 butter beans each, and they had to put them in the jars of which they thought was the most important. And in the data and in the evaluation we looked at it, and it does come back from all the analysis that actually they would like to do something together, and they would like more of an informal place of a youth cafe. So what are we going to do with our evaluation? It's going to go back to the vicars, who will be invited to a meeting with young people and and the youth workers as well. And with a recommendation that the group of young people that came to the Listen and Hear event would actually be planning together an event for the future, looking at the needs and the aims and the objectives. So we're at that stage now where we're taking it forwards. We've got, hopefully, a need, and now we're going to be moving along in the planning process. So I'll just recap on NAOMIE. It's needs, aim, objectives, method, implementation and evaluation. I hope that you found that useful.
Thank you.